it's going kind of fast, so I might have missed some. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Scott, how come Mattel hasn't embraced the face paint technology?
Oh, like what Hasbro does with the the painting. I wish I could answer that because that happened after I left Mattel. That even Hasbro started doing that. So why Mattel doesn't do that, like with their He-Man figures or Jurassic World or something, I don't know. I mean they do use scanning now. Like they use Gentle Giant for their WWE figures, but I don't know. That would be a question for Mattel, unfortunately.
I'm sure it's coming down to money somewhere. That's usually a reason for everything, isn't it? Let's see here. How does empty Star Wars pegs affect Hasbro stock in the stock market?
Not at all. Zero.
Not at all.
Zero.
So, yeah. That's what I keep hearing, that they're losing sales because it's empty. And I said they rather have it empty than have overstock.
So the quick answer to that one, and I've done you've done videos on this on your channel. I've done them on mine. Essentially, big box stores require all pegs to move 1 unit per week. So if you have a case pack of Star Wars figures, you have 8 in the case pack, that's 8 weeks worth of sales. If those sales happen in 10 minutes or 8 weeks, it doesn't matter. They've still hit their sales goal. And while you might say, well, okay, but can't they either replenish or doesn't this show there's more demand? You get more sales by having more pegs, not by putting more figures on the same peg. So if you have 2 pegs for Black Series, then now both of those pegs are selling 1 unit per week, or 16 units, in 8 weeks, or whatever. Right. So, that's why you see, like at movie time, if you remember back when Attack of the Clones came out, I remember that there was literally an entire aisle of Target of single basic figures for Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, it was flooded.
It was like 6 feet and so every single one of those pegs was selling 1 figure per week. That's how you get more sales, is by getting more pegs. It's not by putting more figures on the peg. So for people saying, well, aren't they losing money in the stock when they've got empty pegs? They've already hit their sales goal. So it's like they've hit their sales goal, check. That's great. We'll ship you another case in 8 weeks.
Yeah, I got you. Makes sense. Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain in my video. They care a lot about that space more than they care, about that space full. The only problem I have is I know from selling to managers at Walmart managers hate seeing the empty space. It drives them crazy because it makes them look bad. So I'm sure they have to be getting some kind of pushback from at least Walmart.
Oh, I mean, of course they want to fill them, but in the sort of the analogy I use a lot is take, any other aisle, like screwdrivers or scented candles. Nobody comes into the scented candle aisle when they put out a new case pack and buys the entire case pack. That's a behavior that is specific to not just the action figure aisle, but now you've got to drill down to specific brands and specific pegs in the action figure aisle. Because there's plenty of pegs in the action figure aisle that don't sell out in a case pack in 1 customer visit. And, I see Wild Bill here got scalpers. Like, yes, with scalpers, it's more like merchandise redistribution. They're basically taking them from Target and moving them to eBay and charging a premium price for their time and effort. I mean, I'm not justifying them. I'm just explaining it in economic terms. So, like, yes, a scalper can come in, buy an entire case pack in 1 visit, and now there's empty pegs for 8 weeks because they've hit their sales goal for that peg. And they've hit 8 weeks worth of sales in 1 5-minute visit. Is it a problem? Yes, but the reason is there's no Toys R Us anymore. There's no KB. We lost toy stores. We didn't have this problem when we had toy stores. Now all of the product is going to big box stores, which has this not policy, but it's it's how they manage merchandise. So blame Bain Capital if you're going to blame anyone.
It just seems overall too that kids are. I mean, it too. Kids are moving away from. At least they're getting out of toys at an earlier age. I know when I say kids don't buy toys as much, I hear people say, "Hey, my kids still buy toys." Well, I think when I was little, and probably you too, we would play with an action figure to about 13 or 14. And I don't think I think you cut off way before that. right now if you even buying them anymore.
I mean, video games were the first big stab at that, you know, in the mid 80s and 90s. And now screens are like the second, you know, big knife wound to that. And yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I used to play with toys all the way into my, you know, early teens. And now kids like give them up at 6 or 7. So yeah, we are definitely way fewer kids.
And it seems like the ones that do buy action figures, they're not as. It seems like they just buy a couple action figures. When I was a kid, I had to have them all, and all my friends, you had to have them all. Now it's just like, I got 2, I'm okay, and then they moved on. You know, now when you're probably my age, I mean, when we were kids, I mean, a movie would come out like Star Wars or whatever the summer movie was, and that was it for that year. You might have 2 big movies, so your whole, you know, you wanted all those toys for that year. But now it seems like, well, except for the pandemic, every 3 to 4 months, there's a new toy line, there's a new movie. So it's hard to keep kids invested, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I did a video on my channel called how binging affects fan base, and the fact that there's so much stuff, there's so much content coming, we don't have enough time to create a fan base anymore before moving on to the next thing. So right. Everything you just said, totally right, totally right. So I see this question from Super Awesome Geek Show. Why aren't toy runs like any other department in the stores? They're never out of scotch tape or screwdrivers or candles. Well, actually, I think kind of what we just said 5 minutes ago, it's because nobody comes in, and when screwdrivers are like, you get a case pack of screwdrivers, let's say there's 10 in a case pack, and they put them on the shelf, nobody comes in and buys all 10 because nobody collects screwdrivers. Well, I'm sure somebody does somewhere, but you know, not the way people collect Mandalorians. So that's why, because it's a buying behavior, and we collect action figures. And also, if you think about the way they're distributed now, like Marvel Legends, you have to buy every single one to get the Build-A-Figure. So if you have a collector who wants the Build-A-Figure, they're going to buy the whole case pack. Or like with Black because if you want, you know, the whole Bad Batch, like the whole crew, right, or troop or whatever they're called, you have to buy all of them. But if you need a screwdriver, you just get a screwdriver. You don't need every single color of the same Phillips head. That you know, it's a buying behavior that doesn't exist.
Yeah. See if I get any more questions over here. Let's see. People panic buy toilet paper. Is that similar on a temporary scale?
Let me answer. How's this work? Do you go first? I go first. Sorry.
What's that? Oh, yeah, I was trying to think. Well, whoever can answer it first.
I was doing a Kylo Ren joke, or a Poe Dameron. Do you talk first? Do I talk?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it's interesting. I think with adult collectors, and you know, I'm one of them too. I mean, so is, you know, Junkman here. Like, I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about us included. I've absolutely bought things because I bought this Boba Fett, right? I bought the 6-inch deluxe Boba Fett. I wasn't going to get this. I already have a 6-inch Boba Fett. I bought the one at Comic-Con years ago that came with the Carbonite Han, and that's like all the 6-inch Boba Fett I needed. But I saw this hanging at my local Target, and there was one on the pegs. It was 3 p.m, and I totally impulse bought it because I was like, oh my God, I might never see this again. And I'm really glad I did, because it's absolutely now one of my favorite Boba Fett figures, if not one of my favorite 6-inch figures. So yeah, you know, we impulse buy. I don't think we like hoard one figure like toilet paper, but you know, I think that we do buy things we might not normally like are part of our collection just because we see it and it's rare. And I'm like, oh my God, I better buy this because I might never see this again. I don't know. Have you done that?
Right. Oh, no, yeah. Or about, honestly, there have been times where I've hid them in the store because, especially in the 90s when I couldn't, when, you know, my pockets, when I couldn't afford something, I'd say, hey, hide that. Get it. But
right, is it easier for Hasbro to tool and manufacture for the retro line because they can use old tools? Great question.
Yeah.
So the short answer is it is cheaper to tool the retro line, but it has nothing to do with the use of old tools. Tools only last 3 to 5 years. So when we're seeing the retro line there, like actually here, I've got Luke right here. So we're seeing, so here's our retro Luke. This is a fully new tooled figure. This is not the old Bespin Luke from when we were kids. in fact, actually. Okay.
I don't even think I don't think they use the same mold or anything.
So here is my Bespin Luke from as a kid. Oh, see, look, his joints are like so loose now. And here's the retro collection one that I bought last year. So come on, Luke, stand up, use the force. This tool is long gone, like long gone. So this is basically a copy of a copy. It is less expensive to make this versus, say, this vintage series figure, because this figure has more deco, more articulation, therefore more parts. So the more articulation, the more parts, the more expensive it is to tool. This figure only has arms, legs, head, and chest. That's it. This guy's got upper arm, lower arm, hand, head, backpack, lower leg, upper leg, crotch, chest, lower chest, feet, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where the expense comes from.
All right. Okay, we got a super chat. Love both of your channels. I look forward to your videos. Thank you, and hopefully we can get Scott on the Jeopardy one night.
Yeah,
he's a busy man.
Yep.
And we'll test his knowledge of action figures.